Hello and welcome. You're watching News Central Television. I am Judith at TV. It's time for News Central now, and here are the top stories of this hour. Stakeholders at News Central's Town Hall on Rivers State of Emergency call for sincere efforts to address political crisis from the roots. JAMB begins rescheduling another examination for over 379,000 candidates affected by technical glitches. South African President Cyril Ramaphosa set to meet U.S. counterpart Donald Trump at White House amid diplomatic row between their countries. Details shortly. And the news begins in Rivers State, where the Rivers State waterways seem to be under siege in the hands of suspected oil bunkers and kidnappers. In the last 1 week, 3 separate kidnap incidents have been recorded on the waterways, coming after 6 abducted travelers were released in April. News Central's Biola Festus has been tracking the development.
Now this water since last week Tuesday. Why can't my people put this suicide boat? Let them bring that to exam. Since last week Tuesday, why can't I see my people?
On the 7th of May, a passenger boat conveying 13 persons, including candidates for the West African Examination Council, WAEC exams, went missing. Iwariso, mother of one of the candidates, has come to the waterside in search of her son. Staring at the same spot where her only child boarded the boat, the agonizing mother ponders if that was a goodbye.
I don't get plenty. No, let that one I get. All of that begin. People say that I don't think I don't have one of us. I don't think I meet to man. With all those baby, my hope, when they promise a baby salary every month.
This is the only means of our livelihood, the waterways. We are fishermen. We carry our food from the city into the villages, and they come and carry us. What do you want us to do?
The spate of piracy attacks and kidnappings on the Port Harcourt-Bile waterways in Rivers State has become a thriving business for the men of the underworld, but throwing families into distress. Families of these teenage victims are left without signals on where to look in search of their words.
No information up to date. We have been praying that let there be information, but no way till now.
We've lost a lot of properties, we've lost a lot of our children, we've lost a lot of our husbands, we've lost a lot of our brothers. You see parents own our boats, they are raping our children, they are raping our girls. We are calling on the federal government to come to our aid.
You have been in these kidnappers then. You told me your experience and what they did to you. Yes. Do you feel sorry for these teenagers who are currently in these kidnappers then?
Yes, I'm very sorry for them because it's not easy. So I was there. I was one of the victims. It was not easy for me there. It was very painful. The pain was too much. So I want the government to come to our rescue.
The people of Bile are even more concerned that amidst all the complaints, the government seems unbothered.
The only means of our transportation is the waterways. So we really honestly need to look into this and help us. Not everybody coming on TV and saying, we are doing this, we are doing... Nothing has been done. Nothing. As of today, nothing has been done. Since the 6th of May till today, nothing. I'm just seeing news here, news there. I haven't seen people in the creeks looking for these children.
All this is that they do. Me and the para, they vest. My other brother stay inside. Make them come and do what they're supposed to do. All this is that they do. Make they go there for them. They stand on up and down. Meanwhile, people life, they are trees for river. Make the government come do what they're supposed to do. We don't fear them. This person they don't get 2 heads. Now one they get, but just because they control, I think we calm down. We calm down. Don't mean say we don't know ourselves.
Those living in coastal communities have indicated support for security operatives for adequate surveillance of hard-to-reach creeks and creeklets.
What we want the government to do is to partner with the community so that the community and the government, the security agency, can work together to ensure that they comb and smoke those aslands in the river If not so, we don't think this thing will stop because the locals know the creek more than the security agents that are coming from outside.
This harrowing ordeal is further complicated as the kidnappers are reportedly disguised as security personnel.
Sometimes they disguise themselves with some kind of beep. Sometimes they wear military uniform, which sometimes gives us a lot of problems.
These people boarding the boat are either going to Boni, Bile, or Nembe. Now, the striking thing is that this is the only route to Bile community in Degama local government area of Rivers State. Now, in recent months, there have been increased rate of piracy attacks on this waterway, with several people being kidnapped. These people have been crying out and calling on the federal government for intervention. From Bile Waterside in Rivers State, Biola Festus for News Central.
News Central Television has held another town hall in Rivers State as part of its ongoing mission to amplify citizens' voices and hold power accountable. The event brought together stakeholders from various sectors to address the state's challenges, including the imposed state of emergency. Participants discussed the root causes of the crisis and proposed practical solutions aimed at restoring peace and stability.
And in Nigeria, not just now, governance has become personalized. And when the personalities, the expectations are no longer met, you see the pot begin to boil. Now the system is run by three pillars: the judiciary, the executive, and the legislature. There is checks and balances. But when these three structures have collapsed into one amalgam, then the checks and balances are dissolved.
At a point, there was a pressure, and we could feel the pressure from the utterances of people within the state. The former governor would make utterances, and those who follow him will make utterances. Those who follow the governor will also make utterances. But the utterances always bordered on one thing: who owns the state? Who leads the state? Who is in charge in the state?
We have lost sight of the fact that political disagreements in Rivers State were taken out of the context, and they began to delve into ethnicity, pursuing ethnic agenda of domination. This exacerbated the crisis in Rivers State, where some persons who were friends disagreed, politically speaking, and those disagreements were supposed to be handled politically. But ethnic bigots, some persons started making ethnic rhetorics that led to division that deepened the crisis we have in Rivers State.
So what I can only say is let's give peace a chance, and the time is now. So at that point, may God bless us, guide us as we heal, support the healing in the name of Jesus.
Joining us now to bring us more update from that town hall meeting series is Biola Festus, our correspondent live in Port Harcourt, Rivers State, and also News Central's Joe Hansen. Biola and Joe, thanks so much for joining us, and very good afternoon to you. Let me start with you, Biola. You are on the ground in Rivers State. You have been there long before this town hall series started. It's been much anticipated. Tell us what happened, the conversations that unfolded today. Did it touch all sides?
Well, it's been over 2 hours of conversation. It's been over 2 hours of discussing Rivers State, the problems on the ground, the issues. I mean, amidst the emergency rule, we know that the emergency rule was premised on the political crisis in the state. And of course, we have two sides to this story. We have the FCT minister and his supporters. We have the suspended governor and his supporters. So we have all of this in one room discussing, talking about the problems, and of course, proffering solutions. So the highlights, I must say, is the bringing together of these two people. We brought those people who we know are supporters of the FCT minister. We had the GDI on the ground, and we asked their president, are you ready for peace? Would you say to the FCT minister,
who is your political leader, that peace is the way forward and there is need for peace. And of course, right there on the camera, he said, yes, we want peace in Rivers State. And we also spoke to the other group that are supporters of the suspended governor. They also said same thing, that there is no need to continue in this phase of that peace, of course, must be let in.
Were there any follow-ups in terms of commitments from all sides, whether from the FCT minister's side or Sim Fubara's side or the grassroots or the people there? Were there any commitments or follow-ups after to say that, oh, this is what we're going to do to sustain this peace and keep the conversation, moving?
Yes, most of the people in the room say they want peace. They want everything restored to normal. Of course, you would have dissenting voices in a gathering like this, which is a normal thing. But the most important thing, or the highlight of the meeting, has been that everybody wants peace. Everybody wants the state to go back to normal and not under emergency rule. Well, Judith, I have a Rivers indigene right by my side who was part of the town hall meeting. I would like him to speak to us. Do you think that this town hall meeting is on its way, or is going to be part of things that would provide solutions to the political crisis in the state?
Yeah, of course, I think it's going to add to it, because there have been a lot of discussions. This particular event has brought the two parties together, and not just the two parties, also brought the central people, the NGOs, the media, so they are all part of the discussion. This will also help to enhance more discussion about the peace that ought to be restored in Rivers State, because the truth is the common Rivers person is suffering, and we don't want that suffering any longer. So this meeting definitely will help to speak to those persons that have been aggrieved for a long time now to come together and provide solution to what is going on.
So we know that there's been an elephant in the room, and some people have been so skeptical about discussing it. Yeah. And do you, in your opinion, do you think there's not been any such platform to bring these people together to discuss?
Basically, I have not really noticed most of this platform. It's true that we'll be hearing some pockets of discussion. Sometimes we will hear that the suspended governor visited the FCT minister, but we don't know where he visited him. Sometimes they will say in Abuja, sometimes they say he went to his house. Now, but most of these discussions have not really come to limelight the way New Central brought it, where you have people from different strata come together in one room to talk about the issue the way it should be, and not just talk about the issue to provide solution. We saw where the two parties, I won't want to call them warring parties as people say. They are not warring parties, but I will call them disagreed parties. You see where they say, okay, we need peace, and we will go back to our houses to ensure that we speak to these parties and let there be peace, including the neutral persons like me, from the NGOs. And I'm saying we keep talking about it, that we need peace, we have to talk about it. And I need to say this, the online platforms also have been a sort of war-torn kind of system. We don't need that. We need that people will talk from an aspect of reasoning, understanding, comprehension, and then begin to provide solution to this matter. And the matter is, first and first, Rivers people are saying state of emergency is a no in Rivers State. We need the democratic system to be restored. And how will it be restored? Let everyone come to the table and talk about peace, peace, peace in Rivers State.
There you have it, Judith. Let me ask him the last question. Ahulim, do you think such a forum is necessary? Do you think other organizations should begin to initiate talks like this? Is it going to help in any way?
Yes, it's going to help basically when you have more persons coming out to have talks like this, meetings like this. Not just the media, the NGO should come in, the government themselves should also come in. Okay, to organize this kind of forum where people will express their mind. And I need to say this, when you have meetings like this, there are people that will say, no, I don't agree to what you're saying. But when you don't agree and then you understand my part, you will now come to a table of agreement. And this kind of forum will really help to provide peace, not just in Rivers State, in Niger Delta, and of course in Nigeria. If we have forums like this always, continuously, it will help. And 2027 is coming over the election. So discussions like this will help to also help people understand how the political scene is and how everything is going on. So I would say this meeting, Central News, News Central rather, should do it again. Another organization should continue to do it.
Thank you so much for your time. Okay, Judith, we want peace. That has been the words of Rivers people. And of course, they are asking that News Central has got to keep this town hall meeting going on.
Well, yeah, Biola Festus, many thanks. We appreciate you for that. Biola Festus, our correspondent live from Rivers State, Port Harcourt, the capital there, following the News Central Town Hall series regarding the emergency rule in the state. Let's go on a short break, shall we? When we return, JAMB begins rescheduling another examination for over 379,000 candidates affected by technical glitches. We have the details just after the break. Join us again. And you're welcome back. The Joint Admissions, and Matriculation Board has commenced the rescheduling of the Unified Tertiary Matriculation Examination for 379,997 candidates affected by technical issues. The process began on Thursday morning following a press briefing in Abuja by JAMB Registrar Professor Ishaq Oloyede. Oloyede acknowledged flaws in the recently concluded UTME, revealing that 206,610 candidates were affected across 65 centers in Lagos, while 173,387 candidates across 92 centers in the Owerri zone, covering 5 southeast states, also experienced disruptions. He confirmed that affected candidates would begin receiving text messages notifying them of their rescheduled exams from Thursday. Meanwhile, the National Association of Nigerian Students is demanding the immediate resignation of JAMB Registrar Professor Ishaq Oloyede following his admission of widespread errors in this year's Unified Tertiary Matriculation Examination. In a statement issued on Thursday, NAN's National Public Relations Officer Samson Adeyemi described the UTME errors as a damning indictment of institutional incompetency, calling for accountability at the highest level. The controversy comes after an emotional press briefing on Wednesday in Abuja, where JAMB Registrar broke down in tears, publicly apologizing for the mistakes and announcing that affected candidates would be given a chance to retake the exam. But Nance insists that the damage has already been done and urged the federal government to introduce urgent reforms to prevent a recurrence of such failures. And joining us now from Abuja for more on this is public policy analyst Chukwudi Analu. Mr. Analu, many thanks for doing this with us. Very unfortunate situation there with Nigerian students. So how exactly is the JAMB Registrar's apology the resolution to this crisis?
Thank you very much for having me, and it's quite an unfortunate situation, and my heart goes out to students who are affected, their parents as well. And the apology, I must say, in the first 3 years is the first step, but it should not be the end point. It does not put an end to the depth of the situation. It's important that they've opened up to transparency, but more transparency is actually needed. And beyond just because we need these institutions to be able to uphold a certain level of integrity. So it's important that in this case, particular of the institution need to at this point actually make significant step by first of all at least stepping aside and allowing a total private review of the entire process and also to more likely bring back the integrity of this institution. But I think beyond the apologies, we should be seeing more resignation across board.
Well, that's a tall ask, if I would say, because I haven't seen any public officials, maybe in recollection, who has ever stepped down or resigned from a position due to incompetence. But what is your opinion is the right way to address the matter and prevent future occurrences? Because I think that's very important. If you're saying that an independent audit is important, do you think that we should go more in terms of the technical glitches that we've seen? I mean, technical glitches are one thing, but how are we sure if this was a sabotage or just the weakness of the technology JAMB is using its entirety?
So that's why there's a lot of questions on board, across board. If you've been following the news, everybody's actually questioning, and a lot of things come to mind in terms of why a particular region is mostly affected and questioned. So in terms to be able to uphold this integrity of this institution, to ensure that we forestall such from happening again, we need to see a proper open audit that brings back transparency to the entire process. We've had issues about the vendors being complicit, but the question is, who are these vendors and what was the verification process? What was the review process in terms of endorsing these vendors? So we want to see more transparency, more openness to the public. And if possible, we should be looking at an ombudsman being set up, a committee which is made up of most likely teachers from secondary schools. We need to see also look at maybe some parents from the PT Association, and if possible, the students themselves to be able to have a say in certain conversations. And we should be able to see how rigorously these processes are being reviewed after the institutions have come up to say, this is what we are doing, but we should have more of a neutral body who is mandated to do these reviews from time to time. That will bring some integrity back. But above it all, we should be seeing a new leadership to champion this next course of it, because it will be very, very hard to put back your trust on the people who have failed us this time.
I mean, at the risk of, what's the word I'm looking for, holding brief for JAMB, I must say that there's also a lot that has to be put into place when it comes to a computer-based testing in Nigeria, right? Lagos, Port Harcourt, and Abuja, and all the other metropolitan cities can somewhat say that the students can use computers. But what about the other parts of the country where it's far to reach, or they don't have, or they have to share one computer, or there's electricity issues? Those are not also put into this in this conversation. I think that's a conversation that needs to come to the fore as well. When we look at the entire structure of our educational system and the curricula itself, I mean, you could talk about accountability and transparency in the process, but there's also a lot that needs to be said about computer proficiency and using a computer-based test for this examination.
Yes, I completely agree with you that there needs to be a more robust conversation beyond the focus on JAMB. We need to talk about computer literacy across board. We need to talk about the availability of the centers. We've seen very ridiculous claims in terms of students of teenage age being asked to resume for an exam at about 6:30 a.m. It's quite questionable how we can torture students in this way. These are supposed to be the future of our country, and no regards in terms of how we treat these people. We must start showing them, because for them to be able to bring back love to our country, we must show them love. And it's very important that the conversations go across board in terms of how we conduct examinations going forward, in terms of our curriculum, in terms of a lot of concerns that have been raised. Because in this particular incident, when these concerns were being raised, we saw a lot of push aside from even JAMB itself. We saw even the Minister of Education is quite questionable in this situation, because he actually took a stand without actually delving further. And the most ridiculous part that is painful is when you realize that JAMB actually found this concern, but said nothing to the public, never opened up to say, oh, actually there was an issue with this, and this is what we are doing to be able to find out how deep this has gone, to be able to now create a remedy. If not, that people had to push further. So I think that there is a need for a more robust conversation, and most especially at the regional level, because various regions have various peculiarities in terms of the challenges they face with education and such examinations, and in terms of technology and all of it. So it's important that we expand this conversation, but most importantly, we should also make sure that regional factors are put on the stage to be able to factor in how we move forward. But overall, I think that this should be a learning point, that we should not be able to find ourselves in this situation again where we say glitches. It's very easy to just throw words around, but we must be able to move forward move forward in transparency, in rebuilding the integrity of the institution, and above all, ensure that there is a lot of voices that are being heard and carried along. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I must say thank you so much for taking out the time to join us, Mr. Analo. Just running us a bit of insight. I think another that needs to be looked at is also maybe days ahead where we can do a mock test of JAMB. That used to happen back in the day, I think for WAEC and NECO. I don't know about JAMB, but that needs to be introduced where there's a mock-up test where the students can go in so they can find all those technical issues way before the D-Day. But once again, Ms. Analo, many thanks. Public Affairs Analyst joins us to give a bit of insight following JAMB, saying that about 397 more thousand students needs to come back to write their examination. Once again, thank you. Switch gears now away from education, as the National Orientation Agency has commended the Joint Admissions and Matriculation Board for its exceptional transparency and accountability in addressing the challenges that followed the recently concluded 2025 Unified Tertiary Matriculation Examination, UTME. The agency described JAMB's public admission of its shortcomings as a rare and commendable display of leadership, one that demonstrates a strong sense of institutional responsibility. NOA Director General Larry Issa Onilu praised JAMB Registrar Professor Ishaq Oloyede for embodying the integrity and courage expected of public office holders. He noted that this openness is not only reflective of the registrar's personal values, but also aligns with the National Values Charter, which urges public institutions to operate with the utmost transparency and accountability. However, Onilu stressed the importance of going beyond apologies. He urged JAMB to implement remedial measures that directly address the concerns of affected candidates, parents, and stakeholders. The Nigerian Senate has confirmed the nomination of 5 individuals as resident electoral commissioners for the Independent National Electoral Commission. The confirmation follows a submission and consideration of a report by the Committee on Electoral Matters, chaired by Senator Simon Lalong. The nominees, drawn from Kano, Bauchi, Anambra, Borno, and Bayelsa states, were screened and recommended by the committee for appointment.
That after carefully scrutinizing all the relevant documents of the nominees and due consideration of their level of exposure, experiences, performances, qualifications, and integrity, this committee hereby recommends as follows: that the Senate do confirm the nomination of the underlisted persons as resident electoral commissioners. 1. Umar Yusuf Garba from Kano, Saad Umar Idris from Bauchi State, Chukwuemeka C. Ibezako from Anambra State, Umar Mukhtar from Borno State, and Dr. Johnson Alibo Sinekem from Bayelsa State.
Is hereby confirmed as Resident Electoral Commissioner for the Independent National Electoral Commission.
Still on election matters, the United Action for Democracy, UAD, has raised serious allegations against the Lagos State Independent Electoral Commission following the recently concluded All Progressives Congress chairmanship primaries in the state. The group claims the electoral process was marred by fraud, vote rigging, and the imposition of candidates, describing the process as unfair and manipulative, enabled by the electoral umpire. UAD noted that these allegations highlight the need for transparency and fairness in the electoral processes while demanding immediate action, urging electoral bodies and political parties to defend local democracy.
The APC primary elections were supervised by the Lagos State Independent Electoral Commission. I want you to note that, LASEC, and was characterized by massive irregularities, voters' manipulation, and imposition of candidates, in clear violation of both the Nigerian Electoral Act and the internal regulations of even that party itself. We cite with evidences instances of massive fraud in a lot of local government, but we choose some specific local governments. Alimosho local government, Lagos Island, Moso Okunla, LCDA, Agbado Okeodo, Ayobo Ipaja, Egbede Idimu, LCDA, Agege and Orile Agege. We also have on good information that independent observers, party agents, and journalists were threatened and chased out of collation centers. All of this were done under the supervision of the LASEC chairman. In view of all of these introductions, the United Action for Democracy demands immediate suspension and arrest of the LASEC chairman, especially for colluding in electoral fraud and abuse.
The House of Representatives has urged the Nigerian Police Force, the Nigerian Army, and other security agencies to intensify efforts in ending the spate of killings and kidnappings in Urobo, Ethiopia West local government area of Delta State, South Nigeria. This followed a motion of urgent public importance raised on the floor of the House by lawmaker Eriataka Ibori Sunu, who expressed concern over the loss of lives and displacement of residents in the affected communities. Iborusuno also called for the provision of relief materials to support victims and families affected. The House further urged Inspector General of Police to deploy a special squad to protect lives, restore peace in the area, and conduct a thorough investigation to identify and prosecute the perpetrators, thereby delivering justice to the affected communities.
Aware that the rising wave of insecurity in the area threatens not only the peace and stability of the community, but also broader security architecture of Delta State. Cognizant of the constitutional obligation of the government to protect the lives and properties of its citizens, that is as enshrined in the Section 14(2)(b) of the 1999 Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria as amended. Concerns that the continuous attack, if left unchecked, could further escalate the tension and disrupt the peaceful coexistence in the region.
You're watching news now on News Central Television. Coming up, South African President Cyril Ramaphosa to meet Trump at White House amid SA-US diplomatic row. We'll tell you all about this just after the break. Stay with us. And you're welcome back. South African President Cyril Ramaphosa is set to meet American counterpart Donald Trump at the White House next Wednesday amid escalating tensions between the two countries. The meeting was confirmed in a statement released by Pretoria late on Wednesday. According to the statement, Ramaphosa will hold talks with Trump in Washington, D.C. on the 21st of May to discuss bilateral, regional, and global matters of mutual concern. Tensions have been simmering in recent months over various policy disagreements, most recently the U.S. decision to resettle a group of white Afrikaners whom Trump claims are facing persecution in South Africa. U.S. President Donald Trump says nothing's going to happen in Ukraine peace talks until he meets Russian President Vladimir Putin face-to-face. Tensions surrounding Ukraine peace efforts intensified on Thursday as both Trump and Russia's Vladimir Putin confirmed they will not attend scheduled negotiations in Istanbul. Trump's remarks have signaled a diplomatic deadlock. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky also stated he would only participate if Putin were present, accusing Russia of sending stand-in props to the negotiating table.
Делегация наша находится в Стамбуле, ее состав известен, соответствующая информация была опубликована на ресурсах Кремля.
For more on this, I'm joined by international correspondent Afia Hagen. Avia, what's the latest on the peace talks between Ukraine and Russia taking place in Turkey today?
Well, we've just been hearing from Volodymyr Zelensky. He gave a press conference, and he has iterated that a meeting will take place between delegations from Russia, the Ukraine, US, and Turkey. But he has accused the Russian President Vladimir Putin of not taking the talks seriously because he is not in attendance. And he says that he has sent a low-level delegation. He also said that it was a sign of disrespect from Russia towards the Ukraine, the US, and Turkey, that he had not only not turned up, but sent this low-level delegation. So the mood music that we are getting is that talks will take place. It will take place perhaps between these low-level delegations, perhaps today or into tomorrow.
And Putin says he's not attending, so who will be there?
Well, yes, you do have Vladimir Medinsky, who's the deputy foreign minister. A presidential aide who's called Vladimir Medinsky. You do have the deputy foreign minister, Mikhail Galuzin, and the deputy defense minister, Alexander Fomin. They will be in the talks in Istanbul. That's from the Russian delegation. Of course, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky is in the Turkish capital, in Ankara. He was having meetings with President Erdogan of Turkey. You've got Marco Rubio is also in Turkey as well, in Antalya in the south of the country to meet with NATO foreign minister. So you do have various players, various actors from these countries in Turkey, in the country at the moment, sort of all doing different things. Like I said, you had Zelensky having this high-level meeting with Erdogan. You've got Marco Rubio with NATO leaders on the coast in Antalya there. And so we're hoping that some of these people, and potentially Donald Trump on his way home from his Middle East tour, will converge. Potentially it could happen tomorrow in Turkey for those talks to end the war.
And Trump is currently finishing his tour of the Middle East. Will he be attending the talks, seeing now that we know that Putin may not be attending?
Well, perhaps he might do. Now, he has already said as well that without Putin, no talks will take place, and has sort of inserted the United States as well, that without them, no talks will take place. Like I said, he is on this tour of the Middle East. It's that part of the world that's not too far. This tour has been seen as a success for him, for his administration. Many business deals done, deals between Saudi Arabia and the United States, deals between Boeing and Qatar as well have been done. And so he may, on that kind of sense of victory at the end of this tour around the Middle East, find himself in Turkey to try and negotiate that peace between Russia and Ukraine.
Well, we wait to see how today unfolds. Afia, many thanks for doing this with us. Afia Hagen, our international correspondent there. Let's go on a short break, shall we? When we return, we'll bring you sports news. Stay with us. And you're welcome back. South Africa relay team is back in the country following a stunning performance at the World Athletics Relays in Gazwa, China. Now, Team South Africa competed in 4 events this year, which are the men's 4x100 meters, men's and women's 4x400 meters, and the mixed 4x400 meter. All 4 teams have now booked their place at the 2025 World Championships in Tokyo this September. News Central's Bongani Ziziba has more.
As the doors swung open, a flood of smiles, ululations, and pure happiness washed over the arriving delegation. South Africans, young and old, came together to celebrate these remarkable athletes, the heroes of the moment. For these athletes, their heroic in faraway China was more than just a race. It was a statement, an announcement to the world that South Africa is an athletic force to be reckoned with. The men's 4x100 meters relay is historically a race that captures the world's attention. A stunned audience watched on as a glorious South African quartet, anchored by Olympic silver medalist Akani Simbine, crossed the finish line to clinch gold, ahead of favorites the United States in a world-leading time of 37.61 seconds.
I'll say
for me, I was scared. It's truly scary to be there, but I think I lost something that my mom told me. He said I must not be afraid, and there I was being controlled by fear, and I think that's what happened for the false start. But after that false start thing happened, I got the green card. I started being confident. I was like, I'm not gonna do it again. That's when I take it, and it felt great. It felt powerful. It felt magical, you know. And I was like, okay, let me just go for it.
It's just, you know, the team wasn't that strong to get a gold last year, but this year we made sure to capitalize on our fitness, on our season, and how good the guys have been running this whole year, and we just made sure that we get the gold medal.
But the Team South Africa wasn't done. In another stunning performance, the men's 4x400 meters relay team reinforced the message to the world that the Rainbow Nation meant business. The exciting quartet ran a masterful race to win gold in the 4x400 meters relay in another world-leading time of 2 minutes 57.50 seconds. The women's team did not disappoint either, earning a well-deserved bronze medal in the women's 4x400 meters relay, setting a new national record in the process.
It's always an honor to represent South Africa overseas, and to bring back medals for South Africa is just very amazing.
We knew how hard we worked, and we were not afraid of anything. You know, the guys mentally, they were looking very good. Physically, the guys are running very good. They're feeling very good. So we weren't scared of anything. We just wanted to go out there and compete to our best ability.
The team's message is clear. This achievement belongs not only to South Africa, but to the entire people of Africa.
As Africans, we're here now. You know, last year we did show them just a little bit of a glimpse, and now we're coming with fire. And now Africa is going to be that a lot of countries from Africa are producing a lot of sprinters like Botswana and stuff. So we're coming together as Africa. We're definitely going to keep on rocking the world.
Those athletes, I'm so proud of them because they represent the continent. If you have seen, the continent fought very hard, and especially all the African countries.
From Gonja to Gauteng, Cape Town to Cairo, South Africa and an entire continent salute the historic efforts of these champions who have brought joy and hope to all. At the OR Tambo International Airport, for News Central, Bongani Sisiba.
That's all we can take in this hour. But before we go, let's take another look at some of the major stories. Stakeholders at New Central's Town Hall on Rivers' state of emergency have called for sincere efforts to address political crisis from the roots. JAMB has begun rescheduling another examination for over 379,000 candidates affected by technical glitches. And we also told you that South African President Cyril Ramaphosa is set to meet U.S. counterpart Donald Trump at White House amid diplomatic row between their countries. Now, do remember they can send us your eyewitness report to the WhatsApp number now showing on the screen. And while you're at it, make sure to follow us on social media. We're at News Central TV on all social media platforms. You can always watch News Central live on DSTV channel 422, Go TV channel 23, Star Times channel 274. We're also on Apple TV, and you can stream us live on YouTube. Many thanks for watching. I am Judith at TV. Bye for now.